We have been exploring quite a bit the reality of consciousness of sleep from different angles. But in order to understand what it actually is, it's important that you change the way your habitual perception of reality as your preconception about what is the waking state and what is sleep. Because our consciousness evolves in the waking state. This is where we become conscious of ourselves and of the world. We tend to think that that is the main reality. And on some level, it is true. Waking state is very important reality. It is the reality of creation, where we emerge into diversity and create the polarity between subject and object, which is crucial for the development of consciousness and individuality, and creating all that complex relationship with the world. So it is true from one angle, but from another angle, waking state is actually a secondary reality. While primary reality is sleep. Sleep is self. Sleep is God. Sleep is our deepest nature. But it is difficult to comprehend such concept because we are completely unconscious in the sleep. People are also unconscious in the waking state, but at least there is a tangible level of awareness operating, while in sleep there's none, because there is no ego. As Ramana Maharishi said, in sleep the self shines alone. In the waking state, the self and ego and awareness of the world. But people are not aware of that self in the waking state in a similar way as they are not aware of the self in the sleep state. There are a few things here that we are evolving into. One is to become conscious in the sleep, to bring that consciousness, which we have awakened in the waking state, into sleep. And second, equally important, or maybe even more important, is to bringing that consciousness of sleep into the waking state. So contemplating the conscious sleep allows us, this is what we are doing in the last retreat in Greece, allows us to capture what kind of a consciousness can endure in sleep, and then it can be taken into the waking state, meaning, because you see, you can be conscious on several levels in the waking state, but this type of consciousness that you usually experience is not necessarily able to enter sleep. It simply disappears in sleep. So it's a process of elimination of the more relative or specific to the waking states of consciousness, so that we come eventually to that root consciousness, which becomes the common denominator for sleep and waking. This is what in Hinduism they call the Turiya, the fourth state. And while that concept already exists in spirituality, it's not very common, but does exist, still to really understand what that Turiya is very difficult, because no one seems to know. It's like a concept from the past that got actually forgotten. The concept got not forgotten, but the meaning of behind the concept got forgotten. Nobody remembers what it is. Similar like with God. People believe in God, they have the concept, but no one remembers who is God. Which is also an interesting way of looking at that, spirituality or religion. Nobody actually remembers what is God, but the concept is there. But the meaning of it got lost. If we were to assume that it was ever known. Sleep is the foundation. Everything returns to sleep. Sleep is like death, only we wake up from it in the morning. With death, we might wake up as well, but not in this body. Sleep is like death. Death is the foundation of reality, as sleep is the foundation of reality. Sleep is self, death is self, sleep is God, death is God. What they call in spirituality samadhi is actually to return to sleep, or at least to return to sleep on some level, because there are different samadhis, while being awake. That is the bliss everybody is looking for. Because bliss, sleep is bliss, and sleep is self. No one suffers in sleep. Everybody is in bliss. Unless you're having nightmares in your dreams. But dreams are not exactly pure experience of sleep, but memories and processing of memories from the waking state that happens while you are asleep. Sleep is the foundation, and without having that foundation, you are ignorant. And what it actually means, which is also a very different way of looking at reality than you are used to, what it means that if you experience this world, this waking reality, without being in sleep, without having the foundation of sleep, it is an illusion. It is a dream. It's complete mirage, complete illusion, complete hallucination. All this world experiencing disconnection from sleep is a hallucination. As you know, we can experience level of awakening in the waking state, which means that the waking state becomes more real, but still it's an illusion, unless just less illusory, because there are degrees to illusion, without that foundation of sleep. So that final awakening, because no matter how you awaken in the waking state, there are limits to it. Only that much you can do in this reality of the waking state, because waking state reality is limited and is disconnected from self, which is sleep. So if you are disconnected from self in that waking reality, how much can you awaken within that fundamental limitation? So that final awakening, the deepest awakening of the waking state happens when you begin to experience waking state from sleep. Sleep is already here. You are already in sleep. You are in sleep just right now, but you are not conscious of it because of that illusion of the waking state, that light of the waking state is blinding you from the true dark luminosity of sleep. We are basically blinded by the waking state. We cannot see. Like children, blinded by that sun of the waking state, which is deceptive, tempting, and taking us away from truth. The waking state itself is not to be discarded, obviously. It needs to be rather illuminated with the consciousness of sleep. And then it becomes real because it becomes self. It becomes sleep the whole world, the whole waking state becomes deep sleep, deep peace, transcendent peace. In terms of practice of conscious sleep, it's very difficult to attain, but it's not the main goal, as I said. It is through this practice, you just begin to understand sleep. And then you begin to understand what it is that you are supposed to experience in the waking state as sleep consciousness. Still, the practice of falling asleep consciously is a beautiful practice and should be done daily, an extension of your meditation. Generally speaking, there are 3 stages of sleep. Light sleep, which also can be divided into 2 or 3 stages, but let's just say light sleep, dream sleep, the REM sleep, and deep sleep without dreams. You can, if you have a smartwatch, you can, through your app, you can measure the amount of each sleep after you wake up in the morning. The longest is the light sleep. And there are 4 or 5 cycles. We are going through those cycles. Light sleep, REM sleep, deep sleep, and again light sleep. Light sleep, the first stage of the light sleep is that process of falling asleep, which is the process of forgetting and dissolving your waking consciousness. Until it's entirely forgotten. It is where you also begin to forget your body. You lose awareness of body, which especially in REM stage, your body becomes actually paralyzed. You cannot move. Because if you could move, you would be acting upon your dreams, so it is a safety guard against hurting yourself. And the actual practice of conscious falling asleep happens in that first stage of light sleep, because this is where you still have a control. This is where you still can carry that awareness from the waking state into your sleep. You still have a will. You still have you can manifest your conscious creativity because you are not entirely unconscious. So the more you practice, the more that seed of consciousness that you experience in that moment that you are about to fall asleep, you begin to carry it deeper and deeper into sleep. And we have established in the last retreat that which is falling asleep And that which can remain conscious in sleep is actually one center, which is the original me. And that original me initially is experienced, as you know, as waking me, or that awareness in your eyes. That is the one who falls asleep. Because waking me is ego. Waking me is that empirical, represent the empirical, or functions as an empirical awareness, which is necessary for us to experience and to attend to the waking state. That falls asleep. It falls asleep as ego, but it remains conscious as self, meaning ego is forgotten, but self remains conscious. But without waking me merging with the fundamental me, which is the original me, it's impossible to stay conscious for more than the initial period of falling asleep. Because that awareness in your eyes simply cannot maintain itself, cannot resist the force of unconsciousness, which is how people experience sleep. So in the process of falling asleep, you do need to actually cultivate the original me, surrendering from your eyes to the fundamental me below your eyes, merging with it, letting go fully, and maintaining it, maintaining its presence. Not only letting go, but also maintaining its presence. And this brings us to the next point, is that the same original me is that consciousness of sleep that you can experience in the waking state. So now, can you, let's do it with eyes closed first, can you enter your original me? Step number 1, fully surrender from the fundamental me. There's actually two ways of speaking here. Sometimes I'm myself not sure which is more correct. One is surrender to the fundamental me, and second is surrender from the fundamental me. Well, first you need to awaken the fundamental me, but that already involves a level of surrender, because you need to enter that place in your upper cheekbones, which is the portal to the Absolute. But then you need to surrender into it, which is to fully embody that fundamental me. Fundamental me is an emanation of the waking me, by the way, vertical emanation. So you need to then surrender fully into that newly awakened or already awakened fundamental me. And then from the fundamental me, you need to fully let go into the absolute. Fundamental me is a beautiful center, exquisite center, and it actually gives us direct access to the absolute that you can experience even without having absolute realized through your body. And it's not like a hard practice. That center is very close to you, intimately close to you. And gives you immediate sense of repose, restfulness. So there is a direct access to the absolute in the fundamental me, but one still has to enter the absolute through completely letting go. So if you don't completely let go from the fundamental me, you are not in the absolute. You are in certain space of restfulness, but it's not the absolute. So that's already good to have this foundation. And the next step, you need to become conscious of that sense of me, the sense of awareness in your eyes, to which we also refer as the center of primary attention, because it's the main center of attention. And I would like you to be aware of the primary attention in your eyes and being fully surrendered in the fundamental me, so that you can see the difference. Because otherwise you can be confused. Such as you can be in the fundamental me, thinking that you are in the original me, even though the waking me has not surrendered. Then as you are aware of the waking me, then you need to let go from the waking me while embodying fundamental me. There's like this movement of sliding from your eyes into the fundamental me. And that movement is very simple, it's uncomplicated, but does not mean it is very easy to achieve, because that primary attention is just very dominant. That's why the two strategies that we offer to help is, one is a bit difficult to understand perhaps, which is the closing of the inner eyelids, second eyelids, and that absorbs primary attention and aligns it with the surrender to the fundamental me. And second is falling asleep, activating the mode of falling asleep, meaning as if you are falling asleep with even though you are sitting in meditation. So that falling asleep while you are conscious, what it does is actually transports primary attention to the fundamental me. And then eventually it falls there. And these two become one. Remember, fundamental me was an emanation of the waking me. In that sense, it was a temporary center. And now the waking me, or the primary attention, fully enters into the same place. Into the absolute, simply speaking. And one of the ways to verify whether waking me is really in the fundamental me is to check your eyes. If there's still tensions in your eyes, because you see the waking me is an intense presence, and that's why we do not recommend to work with it from the beginning of the practice or the path, because it's just too intense and create discomfort and tensions in your eyes. It has to be done in conjunction with the fundamental me. So anyway, if you experience tension or discomfort in your eyes, it means that your waking me has not surrendered. So there are a few challenges here, as you can see, but I would not call it a very difficult practice. It requires certain maturity, as everything does. Practice is beautifully simple. Simple. So that original me, which you now perhaps experience with your eyes closed, is the consciousness of sleep. But or it is a consciousness on the verge of sleep. Because in order for it to be truly consciousness of sleep, that original me itself has to absolutely let go, which I refer to as the unqualified samadhi. Let go of any traces of self-consciousness and so forth. Let go of itself. This is where me becomes one with I am, or it realizes itself as I am. Because it's both true. Now I would like you to open your eyes and put yourself in that original me and fully let go. And understand that this is the consciousness of sleep. It's not here. It's not of this world. It's not manifested. It's eternal self, that underlying space, underlying reality, the foundation of everything and all. And now when you look at the world, which is your waking state, you see the world from sleep. And please do not confuse it with ideas such as one is losing alertness in the waking state, or one is feeling sleepy in the waking state. No, you are fully aware, fully awake, but you are in sleep. These were those two realities that have been eternally split apart in that body of human consciousness. They finally meet. That is the final meeting of these two dimensions. You can say that it's one of the reasons for everything that we are doing in our evolution is to create the unification between sleep and waking. Only then you become whole. If you do not experience sleep in your waking, you are half at the most. You are only half man or half woman. And you experience waking from sleep. And sleep is the foundation. So from that standpoint, sleep is higher than waking. Sleep is the self, resting in self. And waking is, well, you can call it a beautiful illusion. You can call it a miracle of creation. Either way, it's secondary to sleep. So you are not only in sleep, you are in deep sleep. You experience waking state from deep sleep. To forget sleep is to lose oneself, which is yet another form of forgetfulness and ignorance. Because waking without sleep is ignorance. Sleep can exist without waking, but waking cannot exist without sleep. That's why, let me repeat myself, sleep is more fundamental to the truth of reality. absolute letting go from the original me. Or if you cannot experience original me, at least from the fundamental me. Non-resistance, 100% let go. By the way, on the muscular level, when you have let go fully from the original me, there will be also zero muscular tensions in your face and in your jaws. It's very easy to verify if you let go fully through checking how you feel on the muscular level. If you make any tensions there, holding, muscular holding in your face, it means that you are resisting fully letting go. You have not died into the absolute. And we will continue the journey